So, before we get into today's game, I wanted to point something out or ask a question. You see, this is the way the screen normally looks. And what I like to do is I like to put a little dark filter like this over the screen. And I do that because if anyone's watching this on their phone or on the computer or wherever, I want it to be relaxing for them as we just go through these games. So if you like the screen dark like this and you want me to keep it like this, let me know. If not, let me know and I'll keep it bright like it was at the beginning of this video. But yeah, just want to let that out. So today's game we're going to be playing, it'll be me versus my other grandpa. It's not the same grandpa that we did in the last video. This grandpa, his name is Grandpa Thump. And I have the white pieces and he has the black pieces. So let's begin. I start with D4. Now, he right away opens up with G5. Just a normal game right here. I went E4. He went knight to C6. Now, he's attacking the pawn on D4, so just right away. I wasn't expecting that, so what I did was I took his pawn. I saw it right away, it was a free pawn, pretty much. And so I went and I took it. I think I was expecting his next move to be another pawn to maybe push my bishop back. But let's see, I believe he hangs his queen here. Yes. And that was a blunder, as you can see. And I capitalized right on it. I took his queen. And from this point forward, let's see how he tries to recover from this. If he recovers at all. Takes the bishop on D8 with the king. He lost his ability to castle right there. So I continued to develop like I normally would. I just bring the knight out to F3. He responds by pushing the pawn on the H to H5. Bishop goes to C4. Now I don't really know what I'm setting up here. I think I'm just trying to develop the king side so I can castle on the next move as fast as I can. You'll notice as I play these games, at the level I'm at right now, I'm not really somebody who's trying to go for the attack right away. I'm just trying to keep things basic and have a little bit of fun. If I feel like if I went for an attack, I wouldn't know what to do, and I might end up just losing more pieces. And I've had more success by playing it safe. So he goes knight to B4, and I right away start moving my knight in to G5. He takes the bishop, putting my king in check. I take back. Oh, I'm sorry, he did not take the bishop. He took my pawn on C2 with the knight, and I take back with the queen on C2. He pushes a pawn to C6. He's playing a really heavy pawn game right now. I'm not too sure. I don't think this is something he normally does. I believe I just kind of shook him up a little bit by taking his queen right away. To be fair, this was his first game online against me. We've always played over the board. But with the way the world is these days and how busy I am, and how busy he could be, just playing these games at our own pace is nice. So I take his pawn on f7, right away putting his king in check. The only move he has is moving the king, which means I will take his rook on the next move. He moved his king close to the knight, I think threatening to say, hey, you know what, you need to get off my turf. But it was too late, so even though his king is on e7, I take the rook on h8, and the game continues. He pulls out the bishop, trying to put pressure on my knight, threatening to take it. So I put his king in check on g6. f7. He moves king to f7. He's really just trying to get the knight out of there right now. And I might let him have it. I decided it was more important to push the pawn to e5. And for whatever reason, he did not take the... Oh, he couldn't take the knight. So I must have known while I was in the game that the knight was protected there by the queen. And so he just decided to move the king back to a safe position on the 8th, right there. So now I decide to castle. I feel like, you know, he's kind of opened up a little, although he hasn't really sent pieces out. He also has not developed. He hasn't developed much, but his pieces are wide out there, so he's still a threat, and I still have to maintain the king's safety. That's my duty. He pushes the pawn on b6. Or no, he moves the pawn to b6. So I decide now's a good time to get my knight back, so I push it back on f4. He moves the pawn to a5. I put his king in check with the queen on g6. He moves his king out of danger to f8. I think that was the only move he could do right there. So I take his pawn on h5. It was just left hanging. He moves his knight to e7, threatening the queen. So I take his pawn on g7, which is protected by the knight on h5. I think I thought this was checkmate here, but it wasn't. He just moves his king over to e8. Then I put his king in check again to on h8. So I use the queen, and he just moves the king out of the way to f7. I move the knight to g7, and he moved his bishop out of the way to b7. I think he's putting a lot of pressure on the queen there with his rook. His rook is now in the game. Excuse me. So I take the pawn on e6 with the bishop putting his king in check. He takes back with the pawn on e6. I move the queen. I think I just sacrificed the bishop just to ruin his pawn structure a little bit. He did have a stronger set of pawns right there, and ruined that. Also, it gave me a chance to put him in check, so I could just move the queen. It was just kind of like a bully move. I was up and I was afraid, so I figured we could stay up that way. He moves the knight, the rook to g8. So now I have no choice but to move the knight, which I did, and it was a discovered check by the queen. So his knight is there on e6. Oh, my knight is on e6 now. I believe it's unprotected, and his king is in check, so what do you think he's gonna do? Takes the knight on e6. I must have just sacrificed the knight. I don't know why, but I did. I'm putting him on check with the queen on h6. He protects with the knight on g6. I can't take back the knight unless I want to use my queen. Lose my queen, rather. So I put him in check on h3. Then he moves back his king back to e7. And then I move to h7, putting him in check. I just think I keep putting him in check throughout this whole game right here. I think the thought is if he moves away from the knight, excuse me, if he moves away from the rook here, then I will take his rook. But he didn't. He protects his rook. So I took his bishop instead. With the queen, so I took his bishop on b7. Now he threatens the queen with his rook on g7. So I just moved the queen to b6, taking him free pawn. And now he's moving his knight closer, so he's on e7. And I just start pushing pawn on d5. He takes. But by doing so, it allowed me to get his king in check. By moving the queen to f6, he protects with the rook. I move to d6. Now I'm not quite sure what that little question mark is. It's interesting to me. It's a question mark and an exclamation mark. I'm gonna have to look and see what that means. He starts pushing his pawn. I think he wants to try to make a queen, so he moves his pawn to d4. And I take it right away with the queen. Then he threatens my queen by moving the knight to f5. I believe I just forked his rook there, kind of. It's like a fake. It's like a fake, I don't know, or a pin, I guess. No, it's not a pin, it's a fork, because if he moves, no, it is a pin. If he moves his knight, I can take his rook, but I don't think I'm gonna sacrifice the queen just yet. Or at all in the game, so he moves his king. And I move the rook to d1. I'm planning some stuff here. I'm not too sure yet what, but I'm planning. And he keeps moving his pawn closer on a4. So I take his last pawn. He just lost all his chances at making a queen. And I put him in check at the same time. That was pretty cool. His king moves to e7. I put his king in check on with the rook by moving it to d7, and the rook is also protected by the queen. I take his rook on f7 with mine. He takes back with the king. I start moving my queen in. He just has his knight here to protect him. It's just the king and his one knight. So he has his knight on e7 right in front of the king. And I move the queen to d7. He moves his king to f8. I start bringing my knight. Oh no, I move my knight out of the way, so I move to b3. He moves his king back. I move the rook to c1. He moves his king back. It keeps going back and forth from F7 to F8. Move the rook to C7, so now the queen and the rook are both there. He moves his knight. I put him in check by moving the queen to D6, and now he can only go. No, he can go. He can go. So I'm not sure what happened. The video must have cut out. I think we were right here, so I'm gonna just pick it up. The game is almost over. He moves his king. I take his knight, putting him in check at the same time. He moves close to the rook to try to hang on. He tries to hit the rook, but no. I move the rook out of the way, and now no matter where he goes, it is mate in one. Goes that way. I go right here. Oh, now that was my back or my shoulder popping. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this game, be sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. This was me versus Grandpa Thump. Now, I'm not a professional. None of the people I play are professionals. These are just fun games. But if you have any pointers on what I could do to improve my game, that would be cool. I will definitely listen. And if you have any suggestions on how I can improve these videos as well and make them more peaceful, let me know. I'll be sure to do. Yeah, so something strange is going on with my recordings tonight. They just keep stopping and they keep cutting out. I'm not really sure where it left off, but all I wanted to say was thank you for watching.